Hello, my beautiful friends. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how I make these 100% vegan biscuits and gravy with tofu. I know that looks like there's eggs, but it's not eggs. That's a trick that I'm going to be sharing with you. These are perfect for holiday mornings, Yuletide mornings, Christmas mornings, Thanksgiving morning if you celebrate. And these are just kind of like a special occasion breakfast that I like to make. So you're going to start off with a cookie sheet lined and greased. And this is going to blow your mind if you didn't know. The biscuits, the buttermilk biscuits from Pillsbury, the original recipe ones, are actually 100% vegan. I know, they're literally called buttermilk biscuits, zero buttermilk involved. Doesn't that just blow your mind? When I found this out, I was honestly shook. I'm like, why do you even call this buttermilk? That's crazy. But anyways, you're just going to make those to package direction. You could make fresh biscuits, but like who has time for that? And then you're going to go ahead and get a skillet and start that on like medium-high heat. I also like to spray that down just a little bit. Now, this is a breakfast that is not necessarily on the super healthy end of things because I am using a vegan sausage. These are some, I think it's like an applewood smoked sausage. You can also use vegan vegan ground fake meat if you wanted to, and then season it with your own stuff. Fennel works really well if you're trying to do a sausage. But I just like finely minced up these applewood vegan sausages that I had. Then I am starting up some coffee on the side because obviously if we're having a full-blown breakfast, you better believe there's freaking coffee involved, because who would I be if there was no coffee involved? That's just a crime. You can't do that. That's mean. So yeah, making up some coffee. And while that brews up, we are just going back over to the stove. I'm really just kind of toasting this up because it was in the fridge, so it was also very cold. So I'm toasting that up. And then you kind of just do this like traditional gravy. You just do all of the ingredients vegan. So once you've kind of got a nice little toast going on that, you're just going to add some flour to the fake meat. And you could also do this just with tofu or tempeh if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be the mock meat depending on what you're into, but you're going to add some flour to this. I don't remember exactly how many tablespoons I added to this, but you're also going to want to toast up the flour. This is a huge key thing that just in cooking in general, if you're ever cooking with flour like this, if you can, and it's not going directly into a liquid, you always want to toast the flour because it actually kind of gives it more of like a nutty flavor, I want to say, and it takes away like that flavor of just eating flour, which is totally disgusting. So now you're going to sit and just brown up the flour for a little bit. And if you're a total dip like me, you can go back and add butter to this. This is so unnecessary. If you don't want to add butter, you don't have to. I just really like the flavor. Obviously, this is a vegan butter. I'm using some Earth Balance butter. I think it's Earth Balance. No, it's that one it's Smart Balance, excuse me. It's also vegan though. So you just want to use your favorite vegan butter. And basically this just kind of adds extra like fat, because I find that when cooking with fake vegan meat, it's not greasy the way that normal meat is because there's no animal fat involved. So you kind of have to get creative. So I just threw in a couple chunks of butter. I don't know exactly how much. There's not really any measurement to this. And then you just keep toasting up the sausage bits with the flour. Once you feel like that has gone on long enough, kind of up to your discretion, you're going to go ahead and add in some broth. I want to say I did like 2 cups of broth, vegetable broth, obviously, and you're just going to keep swirling that around, keep stirring it as you're pouring. If you need to get a second hand, please do so. It makes it a little bit easier, not going to lie, but you're just going to pour in the broth, keep kind of swirling it around because you want the flour to basically churn this into a gravy, but you don't want it to get super clumpy. If you have a whisk, this would be a really good time to bring that out actually, just so it keeps things from really clumping together. Then you're going to want to throw in a metric crap load of black pepper. It's just delicious. And really whatever seasonings tickles your fancy here, you could just leave it at black pepper. That would totally work. But I'm also putting in a little bit of Italian seasoning, even though this isn't a very Italian dish. I find that the Italian seasoning is nice because it's got like thyme and oregano and all these like delicious herbs in it. And it's like literally $1 and you get all of that whole container for $1. So I'm just using that to kind of season things up a little more. Something to remember with, I also made a mess, something also to remember with vegan food is a lot of the time things, especially if you're using tofu, which we do use in this recipe as well, but something to remember is a lot of times vegan food needs to be seasoned more than just like traditional, like normal meats and things like that. You really got to amp up the seasoning. So then you're going to go ahead and just keep kind of stirring, letting it simmer. And once it kind of gets thick enough, you're going to scoot that off to the side, put it on a back burner, bring in another pan. And this is, again, super optional. You do not have to do this. I just personally really like my biscuits and gravy this way, but I went ahead and more butter. I mean, girl, it's the holidays. This is not the time to sit and make super crazy healthy recipes. Okay. If I'm trying to make a holiday feast in the morning, I want like everyone to be like, holy shit, this is delicious. I'm not trying to bring out the coconut sugar. I'm not trying to give me a pound of like fake butter in this bitch, okay? So we're just gonna put some butter in the skillet, let that melt down for a few. And then you're just gonna start crumbling in I use Extra Firm Tofu most of the time, especially if I'm not pressing it, which I didn't press this. I think I'm crumbling down about a half of a block. This would probably feed like 4 people with as many biscuits as we have there. I feel like this would feed 4 people. This isn't like eggs, obviously, but I'm kind of making it to where it's like biscuit with quote unquote eggs, even though it's tofu, and then gravy, because that's traditionally how I used to eat it before I went vegan. So I'm just kind of trying to copycat that same concept. Also, the biscuits were done, so I went ahead and pulled those out. You're just going to kind of crisp up this tofu and then season the crap out of it. I think one of the most important seasonings for tofu when you're making it like eggs is turmeric, because that is going to give the color illusion. Turmeric gives tofu like an egg type color. That's what I was talking about in the beginning of the video. This is what's going to make it look like eggs. I'm using salt, a crap ton of black pepper, and then I'm just stirring that up. I think for this, I wanted the tofu to take on more of the butter flavor. That's why I used so much, because as a child, when I had scrambled eggs, that was like my mom's secret. She would add a metric crap ton of butter to the eggs, and it was delicious. So I think I really wanted them to take on like a buttery flavor. So I didn't go too crazy with the seasonings and I added more butter. So once you have that toasted up the way you like it, you're going to bring the gravy back front and center if you have a cheap ass stove like me and you need to use the bigger burner in spurts because there's only one. And then you're just going to keep cooking down that gravy. I kind of moved it back and shut it off, I think, because everything wasn't done and I was worried that the gravy was going to cook too quickly and it was going to be a whole mood. So that's why I did what I did. If you have a bigger stove or a different stove, this might work better for you. So we're just stirring that up, letting it cook down, and then eventually it does thicken up, thicker than a bowl of oatmeal, if you know what I'm saying. And you're just going to spread out as many biscuits as you would like. Honestly, I find that 2 biscuits is like too much for me. I think every time I'm like, oh yeah, I can totally have 2 biscuits. Like, no problem. I can eat all of that. Every time it's too many damn biscuits. I could probably eat like 1.5 of these, and that's saying a lot. Like 1 honestly is kind of plenty because it's just so much food. So once you have everything set up, you're going to go ahead and bring your tofu in first. I mean, you could put the tofu on top as well, but I like it underneath, so that's how I'm going to layer it. And you're just going to kind of split up the tofu. Doesn't that look like eggs? Like, doesn't that just blow your mind? Blows my mind. Not that I'm trying to make it look like eggs. I think eggs are disgusting, to be quite honest with you, but it just blows my mind how vegan food can just do that. So you're going to go ahead and do that. And then you're next going to want to make sure that you bring on the gravy. Oh my goodness. This gravy was a little thin. I do feel like if you used a little more flour in the beginning, you're just gonna kind of have to play with it. There's no specific ingredients on this. I do apologize. I literally cook this just from thinking it up. I will do my best to see if I can get some measurements before this video goes live. If I do, they will be listed down below. But you're just gonna pour that gravy on, son. And oh my gosh, this is making me so hungry. I hate that. I hate the fact that I love to to shoot cooking videos because I'm always starving when I'm like sitting and editing. I'm like, oh my God, I want that right now. And then I just went ahead and served this up in these really cute mugs. I actually shot this, I want to say around Halloween time this year or around Samhain. So that's why like some of this stuff is like so fall themed. I think I even put pumpkin spice in the coffee, but I cut that part out. So I made some coffee, or I poured the coffee that we made earlier, put a little soy milk in the coffee, and my goodness, I wish it was breakfast. It's like 1:41 in the morning and I have to go to bed after I finish editing this, but I wish it was time for breakfast. So that is it, my friends. I hope you guys will make this. Again, I will do my best to get some measurements down below for you guys. I'm pretty sure we're going to make this again during this Yuletide season, so I will get those for you. I think really it's pretty easy to figure out. It's just the flour that we're maybe a little unsure about, and the gravy does thicken as it sits. So like, even if you feel like it's not getting thick, if it's too thick in the pan, it will be way too thick on the plate. That's actually a rule of thumb for any kind of gravy that you're making ever. If it's too thick in the pan, or if it's perfect in the pan, it will be too thick on the plate. So you just want to make sure that it's a little bit thinner in the pan, and I think that's what I was going for, but it was a little bit too thin. So that is biscuits and gravy, my friends. Let me know if you're going to bring this to your family's festivities, if you're planning to make it, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. Thank you so very much. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Follow both of my podcasts. All that information is down below, and I will see you tomorrow for another video. Bye, you guys.